I've found the perfect solution to the winter fuel crisis. We send all the people affected to live with MPs. And the reason I say that is the following. This is a report from Full Fact. There is no upper limit for how much MPs can claim to cover heating costs. The post on Facebook makes the following claim. In case people aren't aware, MPs can claim up to £3,400 towards their heating costs. They can also claim their petrol, diesel on their expenses. They just got a 2,000 pay rise, which now pays them £86,000 a year. Apparently, Rachel Reeves can't survive on that. We'll get to her in a few minutes. MPs can claim their utility bills, including gas, electricity, other fuel and water bills on expenses at a single property either in London or their constituency. This is only available to those who aren't MPs in London, but don't occupy grace and favour accommodation in London. For example, One Carlton Gardens, which is the official residence available to the Foreign Secretary. The Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority confirmed to Full Fact that there is, in theory at least, no upper limit on how much MPs can claim back on heating and fuel costs. There are upper limits on some other things they can claim on expenses like rent, hotel costs, and staff salaries. This claim appears to have stemmed from an article in the Daily Mail from January, which looked at how much MPs had claimed for utilities in 2021, and found Danny Kruger, MP for Divison, had claimed £3,598.24 on utilities that year. A spokesperson for the MP told the paper that he had challenged his provider on costs but couldn't get the bill reduced and has since moved. That works out to roughly 12 fuel allowances. So we shall put 12 people in Daddy's house to ease the burden. Now let's have a look at Rachel Reeves. Here's Rachel from Business Matters, UK's leading business magazine, as it calls itself. Chancellor Rachel Reeves has faced criticism after justifying her decision to claim £4,400 in taxpayer-funded expenses for heating her second home. Just slightly under 15 pensioners there for the fuel allowance. We can round up the last £100 on that and we can stick 15 pensioners in Rachel's home, thus curing part of the problem again. We can't cure it entirely. We'd only get, if every MP in Britain claimed the allowance, we'd get somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 probably people into their homes, but it would be a start. And she claimed that expense a day after MPs voted to scrap winter fuel payments of up to £300. In an interview with GB News, Reeves defended her expenses, arguing that MPs are required to maintain two homes, one in London and one in their constituency. Well, being a constituent MP means that you have to have a house in London as well, of course, living in the constituency, and that's the same for all MPs. These are long-standing rules. How lovely, Rachel. Reeves emphasised her commitment to protecting the most vulnerable, stating, "I am determined to ensure that the poorest pensioners are protected and will get winter fuel payments, and indeed to ensure that pension incomes continue to increase with the triple lock. And that and a couple of pound down will buy you a coffee down the nearest coffee shop." Analysis has revealed that over the past 5 years, Reeves has claimed £3,700 in taxpayer money for energy bills. The Chancellor's defence of her expenses comes amid a backlash from more than 50 Labour MPs who defied party leader Sir Keir Starmer by refusing to vote for his plan to scrap the winter fuel payments. Fascinating. And indicative of a government that has members that seem to be capable of giving out sentences like, "I am determined to ensure that the poorest pensioners are protected and will still get winter fuel payments," but who seem to live in a fantasy world where they cannot comprehend the low income that many elderly pensioners actually do live on, and how basically they will be lying in bed terrified of dying without heat in many cases. There seems to be an absolute avoidance of the hard reality of that by a ban on by removing winter fuel and doing it in a way that was done without any assessment of the impact, was done in an arbitrary and foolish manner. But let's come back to this in, say, 6 months when the winter is ending and see what's happened. Unfortunately, I don't think it will be anything very nice.